Welcome to the Paper Machete.
8. The denouement of that story came sooner than I expected, the following Wednesday evening. I came home to a message from Jonathan letting me know that he'd never forgive me if I didn't show up at an impromptu party Damien was throwing for him that very evening in honor of the incredibly important promotion he'd just received at work. No, Jonathan wasn't a manager yet, exactly. Nonetheless, it was an indisputable fact that he was now completely in charge of the boxer brief area of the men's underwear department at Carson's on State. It was clear that I couldn't refuse, despite a feeling of ill foreboding. When I arrived at Damien's apartment, the party was in full horrible swing. Every snooty shop queen in Chicago was there, and they were all drinking something called a penis colada. I didn't want to ask what was in it. But I wasn't prepared for the sight that greeted me as I rounded the corner into the living room where Jonathan was chatting with Damien, and Damien was wearing the shirt. Everything went into slow motion for me then. "That's my shirt!" I screeched. "You filched it out of my closet!" "I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about," said Damien. "Who said what about felching?" inquired a Marshall Fields manager who was half a penis colada away from total oblivion. And in that half second, I suddenly realized that this wasn't about me and Damien. This was about me and the shirt. Damien had snuck into my closet and taken the shirt, sure enough. But by this time, I knew enough about the shirt and its ways and its powers that one thing was clear. If the shirt had gone with Damien, it was because it wanted to. The simple fact of the matter is that I had caught the shirt cheating on me. "Why, you filthy little polyester whore," I said. And Damien, who thought I was addressing him, said, "You take that back, you chubby little Ricky Lake reject." But there was no stopping me now. "Back off, you," I snarled. "This is between me and the shirt." Sensing real danger, Damien backed off. "I have an idea," called out one festively sloshed drag diva in the corner. "Why don't we put the shirt on the floor between them and let them both call to it and see which one of them it goes to?" But I had a better idea. It was time I felt that somebody taught the shirt the limits of its powers, and I was just the girl to do it. "Listen," I said, fixing the shirt with a dead stare. "You think you can just use people to get where you want to go. You think it's all dance floors and swank parties and corner booths at the Dayglow Diner, and it doesn't matter whose back you have to ride to get there. Well, listen, shirty. Everybody needs a little reality check once in a while, and yours comes in 3 little words. P, for thee." I must take a step back here and search for an appropriate simile with which to describe the precise quality of the silence that descended over that tacky little apartment. To say that the silence was heavy, like a lead souffle, or cold, like a crushed ice enema, is merely to begin the approach. The shirt, if it was possible, seemed to cringe and to shrink into itself, and its flashy metallic luster seemed to grow chintzy and dim. I felt a twinge of pity for it, but it had chosen its path. I turned on my heel and left. 9. But of course that wasn't the end of the story. About a week after Damien's party, I got a call from Evan, a kind and sensitive go-go boy who occasionally stopped into life on Mars after his dancing gigs, and who had been one of the few friendly faces in the crowd that awful night at Damien's. "Listen," he said, "the shirt wants to talk to you. I know you're feeling hurt and angry, but believe it or not, the shirt hasn't had an easy week either. Once all those upscale queens at Damien's found out it was from farthings, nobody would have anything to do with it. So I brought it home. But it's not just that. I think it truly feels bad about the way it treated you. I offered to wear it out go-go dancing a couple times just to lift its spirits, but it said it wasn't ready to face its public until it had faced its demons. It's telling me it needs to make things right with you. In spite of myself, I was moved. For who among us can remain hard-hearted in the face of a quest for redemption? Evan talked me into a meeting on neutral territory at a low-key cafe bar in my neighborhood. When I arrived, he took off the shirt and carefully draped it around the back of the chair facing me. I think the two of you could use some alone time, he said, and went off to let some of his admirers buy him drinks at the bar. I asked the shirt what its plans were, and it said it was considering a long trip to sort things out. One of Evan's colleagues was leaving to dance on the European club circuit over the fall and winter, and had offered to take the shirt along. This seemed like the ideal solution. In Europe, where scandals are less scandalous, the shirt could forget its past and reinvent itself. It wasn't hard to see that the shirt had a bright future in Eurotrash. And what about us? The shirt wanted to know. Yes, I thought. What had become of all our possibilities? We were going to do so much together. Once. The shirt said it expected to return to Chicago sometime next spring, by which time it hoped I might have forgotten it, and that I might have forgiven it, and that maybe, when I was ready, we could dance at Life on Mars together again. I decided that after all we'd been through, the shirt deserved another chance. And I knew that if I rejected the shirt now, I'd only be doing it to protect myself from some theoretical future rejection. If the shirt was willing to face the scene as a known export of PP farthings, then maybe it had grown a little. And if I were secure enough to wear the shirt in public without worrying about being upstaged by it, then maybe I had too. Well, I said, I didn't want to rush things. One step at a time. But I told it to keep in touch.